Hey my crafty creatures. So in today's video I want to do something a little bit different and do a shirt for my husband. So I have made this shirt before and he really liked it, and it ended up being one of his favorite shirts. So I want to do it again, but I want to do something a little bit different too. I wanted to make a matching collar for my dog so that they could actually match together. And I'm going to be making some adjustments to the pattern just so that I can make sure it fits him. But I did like a quick check just to see if his shirt would actually fit him, and it does. The only thing I had an issue with was buttoning up, just because it was just like a little bit too small. So I'm just going to make it a little bit longer, and that way it'll actually fit him. So if you guys want to see the challenges of this project, go ahead and stay tuned to the video. Hey guys, so it is another day and I wanted to show you what I got done yesterday. The first thing I want to show you is the color that I did for my dog. So I made some adjustments to the original pattern and I have that cut out in a medium. So I just kind of guesstimated what the large would be. So I added 1/2 inch on both sides of both of these pattern pieces. And what I did with the collar here is I made it come out just a little bit longer. So at its highest point, it's probably about 1 inch longer. And then here, I just kind of tapered everything out to that point. So this line I kept the same, and then I just tapered this out a little more so that it has a little more distinct of a collar. And everything else is cut out. There's about 7 pieces with this pattern, and I'm just going to get all of this stuff just sewn together. There's a couple of markings that I do need to add on there for like the buttons and the buttonholes, just so I know where I need to put those and place those so that it's easier for when I actually get to that point. So I'm just going to follow the instructions from the pattern. That way it's just kind of straightforward for me, because it has been a while since I've done this shirt and I don't really remember the steps. So like most of it is pretty easy. I remember that much. I'm going to glance back over it just to make sure that I have all the steps in order. But this is going to be straightforward, and then I'll kind of show you guys a little bit of what I do with the collar. The shirt I'm not really going to show that much of, just the final product, and then maybe we can get some photos of my dog wearing the collar. My husband, I know he's not going to want to be on camera, so I'm just going to put that on the mannequin so you can see, and then hopefully we can get my dog in there. Okay, so I almost forgot about my interfacing, so I want to go ahead and get those pieces done. I am taking some of the pieces and just kind of lining them up to make sure that I get the right side showing, because the interfacing side is going to be towards the outside. So for this neck piece, this will be like right up against the neck, and then with this piece here, it's going to be on the outside. So I want to line it up so that I have those pieces where I want them to be. I kind of need to go back over this one to get it smooth. There's a little bit of a bubble here. I guess the glue didn't melt and adhere to it. So I'm flipping it over to the other side just so I can get them from both sides and hopefully get it adhered to it. Okay, yeah, that's perfect. All right, so I am taking this piece here and I'm trying to see which side of it I might want to use. I might go with this. I kind of like this more because you have the Star Wars right there that you can kind of see. Granted, once you do the seam allowance and everything, you probably won't be able to see this part, but I like that side better. All right, and just so you can kind of see what kind of interfacing I have, it's really kind of sheer and it's really lightweight and really thin. And that I found was pretty good for the last shirt I did. You don't really want to do something too much thicker than that. All right, make sure I'm getting the right side. Definitely don't want to put interfacing on the wrong side of the shirt. I'm gonna use my pressing cloth because sometimes with the glue that they have on there, it can bleed through to the other side. I don't want to get that on my iron. And I want everything to kind of lay flat after I press it on or add the heat, because sometimes it does have the tendency to curl up. And I believe this is like a synthetic fabric, so it actually can melt to the iron. So having that cloth just gives you extra protection. And the cloth that I'm using is just some muslin that I have serged the edges so that it doesn't fray. And this size has been pretty good for me. I haven't really hadn't had a need for something bigger than this. So I haven't had to have a need for something bigger than this, and this cloth size has worked good for me for the most part, but you can do some in different sizes so that you can have different sizes for, you know, different things that you're working on. Okay, I want to flip it over to the front just to make sure that is nice and smooth. That I could do without the pressing cloth, but I prefer to just have it there since I already have it out. All right, and while I have a second, I kind of wanted to show you guys this little thing here. It's something I've had for a while, and I got it from one of my old jobs, and it was just there. Somebody had, I guess, sent it in, and it wasn't something they could sell or whatever, so it just kind of sat around. And I went in and took some fabric that I had on hand and just switched out what they had on the back. And it's a pretty simple construction. You just have this piece here, and then it just folds, and then put it out of the way. And I found that this works better for me when ironing. That way I don't have to bring out my full ironing board. So having this actually makes it really helpful for me, and it's quick and easy setup and breakdown. But I definitely enjoy having this fabric here. And just so you can get a closer look of what it looks like, it kind of is very similar to peacock feathers. And I like the dark color. It kind of goes with my kind of theme. And I have really been using this so much lately. Now that I have this, it's like pulling out the iron isn't as difficult for me. So I've been enjoying that process. And I can either sit it here, or I can actually put it up on my desk and iron there. But for the most part, I've just been laying it on the floor and then just kind of sitting just like this and doing all of that. And I still have a few more pieces to do. I have to get the pockets ready, so I need to go ahead and do that. Let me just double check to see if there's any information. I just need to get the fold lines, and then I need to fold under the sides so that the pocket sits at the right spot. So I'm going to use this here as my guide for the fold. I'm going to double check my pattern just to make sure I know. Okay, so I'm supposed to turn that in 1/4 inch and then do the fold. This does want me to sew it the opposite way first and then turn it so that everything lines up right there. So I'm going to work on that. All right, so I have already done this, and it calls for clipping right here at the side on each one of them, and then trimming down this to about 1/4 inch. All right, now I can flip it so the right sides are out, and we'll start pressing the sides. I realize I'm just kind of whispering here. It's like thinking out loud so you guys kind of know what I'm doing. All right, so now we're going to make sure all of those presses are back in place, and we'll do the same thing for this other one. All right, so I wish this was a little bit easier to show you guys, but I have the pockets pinned on there, and I made sure that I went back to the pattern piece and just marked out where they're supposed to sit on there. That way I know I have the right placement for them. And now I'm just going to do a top stitch over both of them, and then I can start like actually sewing everything together. All right, so I have put the shoulder seams together and I serged the edges. Now, if you don't have a serger, what I did with the last shirt was I folded over the raw edges so that I could top stitch them. And then you can see that there's no raw edges that you can, that'll actually come loose. And I did that for like all the seams. So it did take a little bit longer, but this shirt has held up for, I want to say like 8 years. He's been wearing this. I made it really early in our relationship. So we've been together for, this year will be 11 years. So I made this a while ago. So it had to have been close to like 9 years that he's been wearing this shirt. And if you don't have a serger, this is also a very good way to finish off those raw edges on the shirt. But since I have my serger, I will be using that to finish up all the raw edges, and then I'll be pressing everything. So right now, I'm just going to press those seams towards the back of the shirt. That way it looks all nice and neat. And if I want, I can go ahead and do a top stitch so that they just always stay in place, and then that makes that seam much stronger. So I probably will end up doing that, and I'll probably do that for all the seams going forward, because I want this shirt to hold up, because he does wear it a lot, especially during the summertime. So that is looking good. I'm gonna do the top stitch on that. The next thing I have to do is put in the next thing I have to do is put in the sleeves, and then I can sew up the side, and then it would be just hemming everything and then adding the collar. So I will come back once we get to the collar, I believe, because the rest of it's kind of easy. It's just, you know, straight stitches everywhere. All right, so I have the sleeves attached, and now I'm just going to be pressing the seam towards the sleeve, and I am using my pressing ham to help with that. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but there is a little bit of a stitch right here where I kind of got it with my serger. Didn't realize that, but it falls in a spot where it's gonna sit flat anyways, so I lucked out there and I don't have to undo that. But yeah, definitely be careful when you're doing any type of serging or sewing in the curved area, because you can end up messing it up, and we don't want to, you know, end up putting holes into this thing when you don't mean to. But yeah, so let me finish doing the other sleeve, and then I can actually hem up the sides, and then we can start attaching the front placket and the collar. I'm not going to show that part. I'm just going to come back once it's done though. Okay, so I have the finished collar for my dog, and I wanted to show you kind of what I did as a closure, because it really calls for a button, but I noticed that it would be a little bit too tight on him, or harder to get him on and off of him. So I added this little clip here. And the way I attached that clip is I just took some ribbon, and then on the back side I sewed it together so that it would hold a lot easier. So here's a little bit of a closer look of what that looks like. And then it's just an easy, quick release. But yeah, that makes it a lot easier to get on him, and he looks so cute wearing it. So I will show you guys at the end what that looks like.